Ignition sequence starts.
Good morning, and welcome into the International Space Station Flight Control Room at NASA's Johnson Space Center. This is where there's always a team of specialists on duty, keeping an eye on space station systems and working with the Expedition 66 crew members as they work on science experiments and space station maintenance. And as is the case today, Commander Anton Shkaplerov and his crewmates are working on a Russian cargo ship that arrived at the station on Thursday morning, carrying food, fuel, clothing, and personal supplies for the station crew members.
Houston Station on Space to Ground.
Welcome to Space to Ground. I'm Chelsea Bayarte. On the space station, astronauts expect a delivery of not one, but 2 cargo spacecrafts this week.
And liftoff. Liftoff of Progress 80.
Love was not the only thing in the air on February 14th when a Russian cargo spacecraft launched to the space station from the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan at 11:25 p.m. Eastern. Progress 80 docked to the space station 3 days later, delivering food, fuel, and supplies to the crew. Speaking of Valentine's Day, the astronauts aboard the space station may have spent the holiday away from their loved ones on Earth, but still made the most of their day with their crewmates. Astronaut Kayla Barron posted this photo she took from the space station, wishing everyone on the planet a happy Valentine's Day from off the planet. A second cargo spacecraft is making its way to the International Space Station later this week, too, carrying scientific experiments that will give researchers a better look at plant root growth and cancer cell growth. Growing plants in space involves soil, which can be heavy and require a lot of maintenance. One experiment launching on Northrop Grumman's 17th resupply mission hopes to change that. The X-Roots experiment is looking to use hydroponic, or water-based, or aeroponic, air-based, techniques to reduce mass. It will allow astronauts and researchers the ability to watch the roots as they grow.
Space to Ground.
Another experiment launching is called the MicroQuinn 3D experiment. It will look at the effects of a drug on breast and prostate cancer cells. They'll be using the microgravity environment to grow the cells in a 3D model, allowing researchers to get a better look. The MicroQuinn 3D experiment hopes to make researchers smarter about disease progression and drug resistance, so one day we might see new treatments for cancer patients on Earth that are more effective and have better patient outcomes. Cygnus is expected to launch with these experiments and more shortly after noon on Saturday, February 19th. The spacecraft will lift off from NASA's Wallops Flight Facility in Virginia atop a Northrop Grumman Antares rocket. It'll arrive at the space station 2 days later on Monday, February 21st. Coverage of the rendezvous and capture begins at 3 a.m. Eastern, with installation coverage at 6 a.m. You can catch all of these events live on NASA TV, nasa.gov, or on your NASA app. This Cygnus is dubbed the SS Pierce Sellers, a nod to the late NASA astronaut who played a vital role in the assembly of the space station and a champion of Earth science at NASA during his career. You can keep up with all of these experiments and more by following us on Twitter at ISS_research. That's all for today on Space to Ground. See you next week.
The Expedition 66 crew members are unpacking a Russian cargo vehicle that arrived at the International Space Station yesterday. A new Northrop Grumman Cygnus cargo ship is due there early next week with food and other crew supplies, along with new experiments. Here's a preview of some of the new science poised to launch to orbit. The Cygnus cargo ship, due to arrive at the station next week, is part of the growing commercial space economy, which the International Space Station has been encouraging for more than 20 years now. The expansion of the commercial use of space not only fosters growth for those companies, it's also aiding NASA as it continues to explore and discover what's out there beyond low Earth orbit.
Those striving to develop their products and conduct research beyond Earth's atmosphere are seeing their visions come to life through the International Space Station National Lab and partnerships with NASA. NASA, in turn, is gaining new resources to aid in its mission of exploration and discovery. Thanks to these partnerships, the world is benefiting from the ingenuity of those who are taking their ideas to gravity's edge. From transportation to satellite deployment to in-space research, a vibrant commercial space economy has been developing, and its value now exceeds $345 billion. Mike Reed is the manager of the ISS Business and Economic Development Office at Johnson Space Center. He explains some of the benefits of NASA investing in the commercial economy in space. Commercialization of low Earth orbit frees up resources NASA needs to continue its exploration of space. Even as NASA prepares to return to the Moon, go to Mars, and continues engaging with other space missions, we'll always need a platform in low Earth orbit. That platform enables crew training, advanced systems development, and fundamental and applied research. But expanding use of the space station to commercial companies enables a new market. By having the commercial sector join us, we can continue our space exploration while providing access to a platform that helps create jobs, build revenues, and ultimately create many new products that are beneficial to people on Earth. In terms of research, many companies are making use of the ISS US National Laboratory to run their research and technology development investigations in microgravity. They include well-known corporations like Procter & Gamble, who have used the station to study colloids with a goal of improving the quality and lifespan of their products, such as shampoo and laundry fabric softener. Merck, the multinational pharmaceutical company, uses the National Lab to study the growth properties of three-dimensional protein crystals. Their work could lead to more effective delivery systems for cancer treatments. Even companies not as well known right now are seeing big dividends coming from their research. Lam Division, for example, is using the microgravity conditions on the station to advance the development for treating the effects of retinal degeneration, with the goal of restoring the vision of those people affected by it. In addition to research opportunities, the space station contributes to expanding the space economy in other ways. Reed explains, the capabilities of launch providers such as SpaceX and Northrop Grumman have grown dramatically over the last decade. The cost of placing cargo into orbit has dropped dramatically, which opens up the space marketplace to many more non-governmental entities who simply could not afford the costs of reaching space before. Now, SpaceX has brought astronauts to the station from American soil for the first time since 2011, and the first time ever on a privately owned launch system. The Commercial Crew Program provides a huge long-term benefit for both private companies and NASA. Today, thanks in part to the space station, commercial and other non-governmental entities are entering the space economy in significant numbers. What these new partnerships can accomplish together will drive the in-space marketplace and NASA's grandest missions to new heights, as well as improving quality of life for people on Earth. For more science and research from the International Space Station, go to www.nasa.gov/ISS-science. To discover more about the space on, around, and beyond our planet, visit science.nasa.gov.
The range of scientific research being done on the International Space Station today is remarkable, and the station program's Science Office hopes you can help expand it. If you've got a hypothesis to test that requires eliminating gravity as a variable, have we got a research platform for you?
Hi, I'm NASA astronaut Megan MacArthur. Did you know there's a research laboratory in space? It's the International Space Station, and it's a scientific stepping stone that's enabling us to explore farther into space while improving life on Earth. The space station provides a unique environment of microgravity, extreme conditions, and an observation platform that enables researchers from all over the world to test theories and technologies off the Earth in an extreme environment unlike any other. We welcome you to join us on station. You don't have to be a rocket scientist or part of NASA to gain access to this unique laboratory. Don't know much about spaceflight? That's okay. We're here to help people just like you every day. You might be curious about funding, capabilities, access, or maybe you just don't know where to start. Give us a call or email. We'll ask you some basic questions about your objectives, which will help us point you to the right people who could make your experiment or testing your technology possible in space. Visit nasa.gov/station opportunities for more detailed ideas, answers, and contact information, or find us at the Station Research Client Helpline. So welcome to the International Space Station. You'll soon be part of a worldwide group of researchers making discoveries on this amazing orbiting vehicle, all for the benefit of our planet and future exploration beyond.
In addition to working on scientific experiments, International Space Station crew members spend some of their time talking to students about the fields of science, technology, engineering, and math, and sometimes they make videos about those concepts. In this new demonstration video, astronauts Megan MacArthur and Aki Hoshide discuss the human vestibular system, which helps us all orient ourselves in our environment. And they introduce two crewmates who demonstrate the ways a lack of gravity in space can mess that system up.
Hello, I'm Aki Hoshide.
And I'm Megan MacArthur.
We're astronauts living and working aboard the International Space Station. Have you ever wondered how astronauts orient themselves in space when there is no feeling of up or down? In this episode, we'll discuss the vestibular system and the effects of free fall on our sense of direction up here on Space Station. Let's go try out some experiments with spatial orientation. The vestibular system is the sensory system our brains use to process movement using the perceived pull of gravity, structures in our inner ears, and through processing visual cues from our eyes. This information is necessary for balance, motion, and spatial orientation. The vestibular system is made up of several parts primarily located in the inner ears in a series of interconnected chambers called the labyrinth. The labyrinth has 3 semicircular canals, each oriented in a different plane to detect different movements.
In the micro-G environment here on the space station, the pull of gravity our body is accustomed to is different, and the vestibular system receives mixed messages. The semicircular canals sense head rotation in space, just as they do on Earth. Because the otolith organs rely on gravity to detect linear motion, they don't function the same way in micro-G as they do on Earth.
You've probably experienced similar mixed messages on Earth. Some people feel dizzy when they read a book in a moving car. The structures in your ear pick up on the motion of the car, but your eyes are fixed on the motionless book. These mixed messages can cause dizziness as your brain tries to determine if you're at rest or in motion. We call that dizzy feeling motion sickness.
Docking sequence is complete. Welcome to the International Space Station.
Endurance copies and docking complete. I'm happy to be here at the ISS.
This is similar to the way many first-time astronauts feel when they arrive on the space station. Up here, we call that space adaptation syndrome, or space motion sickness. This is a period where our bodies are adjusting and orienting to the new freefall environment. One way we fight off space motion sickness is by reducing our body movements until we are acclimated. We also use labels, signs, and the design of the station to help orient ourselves. Lights are positioned up along what we call the overhead, and air intakes are positioned down towards what we call the deck. When we return to Earth, our bodies once again must adapt to perceived change in gravity.
Close your eyes and think about where you are right now. Can you determine which way is up with your eyes closed? What about down? Now, open your eyes and think about what signals you receive to help you determine direction. On Earth, we perceive up or down relative to gravity. While in orbit on station, we're essentially in free fall. There isn't a true up. Up could be anywhere.
Welcome to Which Way Are You Pointing?, where our astronauts try to figure out their orientation while they're in micro-G. They'll have eye masks on and earplugs in to remove those senses. On the space station, gravity has mostly been removed as well. They'll pick an object and see if they can point to it after being spun around. First, some terms you should know. Pitch is shown as an exaggerated nod. Roll is shown as you move your head from shoulder to shoulder. And yaw is shown as if you were shaking your head no. Let's play.
Target, ESA flag, rotation, pitch.
Oh, sorry, Mark. Let's try again.
Target, ESA flag, rotation, roll.
Wrong again, Mark. Okay, Shane, let's see how you do.
Target, laptop, rotation, roll.
There are just too many missing pieces of their vestibular systems to accurately orient themselves.
I encourage you to think about the way your vestibular system helps you respond to information from your environment, and take note of what's happening next time you feel a little off balance. Thanks for exploring the effects of micro-G on the vestibular system with us today. See you next time.
The lifeblood of the International Space Station's cooling system is ammonia, which carries heat from the vehicle and its hardware systems to the radiators to be dissipated into space. If the cooling system sprung a leak outside, it used to fall to spacewalking astronauts to find the location of the hole. But not today. The folks at NASA's Exploration and In-Space Services Projects Division at the Goddard Space Flight Center developed a leak locator tool and an exterior storage device for it that makes repairs more quickly and with less astronaut involvement.
How do people live in space? One major factor is making sure everything is just right, including the temperature. People have lived on board the International Space Station continuously for over 20 years, something that is made possible through its cooling system. Liquid ammonia in specialized pipes throughout station acts as a coolant to keep the temperature habitable for humans. Every so often, the pipes will spring a small leak, and the ammonia escapes outside the ISS. Occasional leaks are expected and typically pose no threat to astronauts, but they're inefficient, could become a bigger problem if left unattended, and can be a hassle for astronauts to manually locate the leaks via spacewalk.
The ISS program recognized very early on that ammonia leaks could be a big problem, and with the large radiators, that they would be something that happened, every couple of years. What they would do is basically monitor pressure in gas lines in various parts of the system, and using those measurements, they're able to isolate a leak to some segment of the overall system. But they don't have the capability without REL of pinpointing where the leak is.
QREL, the Robotic External Leak Locator, a toaster oven-sized tool that can detect ammonia leaks outside of station. REL can locate an ammonia leak in a fraction of the time required for a manual search. Deployed by station's robotic arm, REL uses 2 instruments and plays a game of hot and cold.
The REL, it's a tool that includes a mass spectrometer and a total pressure gauge. So a pressure gauge is pretty straightforward. It just tells you the local pressure where it's pointed, and pressure is equal to the number of molecules that are there. The mass spectrometer is a little bit more complex. It not only tells you how much gas is leaking out, but it also tells you what that gas is.
Using these instruments, REL is able to detect the gases in its surroundings and follows the trail of ammonia until it finds the highest concentration, thus revealing where the coolant system has sprung a leak. Following the success of the first REL tool, launched in 2015, a second was launched in 2019. The REL tools were initially stored inside of station, which meant a lengthy and precise procedure to get them from storage out of the GEM airlock, picked up by Dexter for leak locating, and finally returned to the airlock. That's where RITS comes in. The Robotic Tool Stowage, or RITS, acts like a garage or robot hotel. It is affixed to the outside of station and has 2 ports for each of the REL tools to reside while not in use.
The RITS was launched in December of 2019, so it's been up on space station almost a year now. It was just kept in storage. It launched up in a kind of a foam box, and it was brought inside the space station. And just in July, the astronauts unpacked it and they installed the leak locator tools inside it, and they got it ready. And then there was an EVA, the spacewalk was performed to install it on the outside of space station.
RITS and REL are just another example of how robots and astronauts can work together to enable a sustained human presence in space. Robotic tools are easy to use, efficient, cost-effective, and safe.
One thing I want to note is that the robotic servicing is all done by controllers on the ground. So having the tools outside, we don't need to involve the astronauts on the space station at all. It kind of saves them time, one less thing they have to worry about.
While the REL units, stored cozily in RITS, are utilized to keep astronauts safe on station, our team continues to develop and build on this technology on the ground.
So one thing I'm excited about as far as the RITS technology is, and this has kind of been an evolution of tool stowage designs that we've built. So this is going to be very, very valuable anytime you're going to have robotic servicing, which is going to be increasingly more frequent for exploration in lunar orbit, and also if there's any outposts on the way to Mars. We're going to see increasing amount of robotic servicing, and the robots are going to need specialized tools and ways to secure them safely and keep them protected.
As you can imagine, the ability to characterize the type of gas present and the ability to locate leaks have applications beyond just space station. Anywhere there can be a human habitat, like the Moon or Mars, a leak locating tool will probably be a must. Additionally, robotically characterizing gases in places we've never been before can help us learn more about new environments, laying the groundwork for future exploration.
Always nice to add a new piece of capability to the space station, and there's always a capable group of folks behind it, but this one is particularly special. Dave Parker battling ALS. Wonderful to see a project that he's been involved with from the beginning. To see these lights illuminate. Congratulations, Dave. Congratulations, Team Dave. Team Dave.
Last up today, a little history. It was 60 years ago, this coming Sunday, February 20th, that astronaut John Glenn became the first American to orbit the Earth, piloting Friendship 7 3 times around the world in less than 5 hours and opening a new frontier. Take a moment now to share the images of the day that the United States took another giant step forward in human space exploration. If you want another look at any of the stories we showed you today, go over to YouTube and Facebook and you can find them all there, along with lots of other great features on a whole variety of NASA topics. And if you're looking for good conversation about human spaceflight, check out Houston, We Have a Podcast, our weekly show about many aspects of human spaceflight and NASA's missions of exploration. Today, Gary Jordan explores the topic of inspiring women and girls in science, technology, engineering, and math fields. He talks to two women role models, NASA's Deputy Associate Administrator for STEM Engagement and the star of the streaming science show for kids, Emily's Wonder Lab. Go to nasa.gov/podcasts for this week's episode, all the previous episodes, and the full library of all the NASA podcasts, which are all on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and SoundCloud too. And you can get the latest from all over NASA delivered to you every week. Go to nasa.gov/subscribe to sign up for the NASA newsletter.